No. Hi. Hi. I'm Rachel. My name's Rachel. I don't know how to introduce myself to people that are not in front of me. So normally I shake your hand and, do the whole thing. But since my camera's smudgy, give me 1 minute. Sorry, you're about to see all of my mouth. Okay. Hey, what's up, YouTube? Sorry, I know I should have did all that before I logged on and went live and whatnot, but shit happens. Like I said, my name is Rachel. It is so rainy outside right now, and it's dark as hell. I don't know if you can see outside. I probably only see glare. But I live in Austin, so like I'm a little nervous because we just got over a water crisis where we basically had to boil all of our water before we did anything in life. And I work in a restaurant, so that was the big pain in my tits. But yeah, I work at Goodall's Kitchen. You can't see the logo. I don't know. Yeah, it's an old shirt. Yeah, I work at Hotel Ella on Rio Grande by West Campus. Nice little boutique hotel. Get fancy. Um, Famous people go in there and they do things that famous people do, like eat and spend money and have conversations, because at the end of the day, they're just normal people. Yeah, so just have more money. But yeah, so this is my first YouTube video, and I decided to go live because I tried to like record off of my computer and it was being a little piece of shit. So it was like getting all laggy or fidgety. I don't know what the hell I call that, at like the 1 minute mark. So I think I just need some new stuff. But yeah, so this is me. If you follow me on Instagram at Ray Soria, I think it's underscore Soria. I'm sorry, I don't know my Instagram handle because it's me. That's like knowing your own. Like I know my own number, but I never call myself. And the only reason I know it is because I grew up in the '90s, and we used to have to like write down or memorize people's numbers. Like I used to know so many people's numbers, but I don't anymore because of the phones, and technology has made me really kind of, my brain just not as good. But if you follow me on Instagram at 1 minute, wait for it. I guess it's like Ray underscore Soria. Yeah, Ray underscore Soria. See, this is me. I don't know if you can see me. It's me. I'm a aspiring personal chef, and I specialize in vegan food. So I kind of the restaurant I work at, my job isn't vegan. It's very, there's a lot of meat going on in there. Dirty joke, insert dirty joke. But yeah, so, and I worked at a few vegan, I worked at on a vegan food truck. I didn't like it. And a lot of the food wasn't homemade from scratch. I've also worked in a vegan restaurant, which I was not a fan of because they followed the whole like gluten-free, oil-free, raw. It just took a lot of the fun out of cooking for me. I wasn't like born a vegan. So I started becoming a vegan or transitioning into veganism, which I still am because sometimes I still eat meat. So don't judge me because, I'm human. And I'm also Mexican. Like, hello. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I feel like there is a lot of things that you can make vegan in the Mexican cuisine, which is a lot easier. Like moles are very vegan, fucking delicious. But yeah, I kind of tend to kind of veganize food that I grew up with and love. Like if you go on my page, you'll see all of my not my recipes, but my plates, my foods. Um, and I grew up in America, so it's not like, so I have different. I grew up with different kinds of cultures, especially I'm from Houston, Texas originally, so there's a big Asian culture there. So I got some ramens up in there, some sushi, some different kind of cultural dishes and cuisines up in there. Um, but a lot of it I focus on the Latin cuisines because it's not just Mexican that I really like. I kind of really am. I feel like all Latin food is very delicious, like Puerto Rican food and Dominican food, and kind of any other food really, because I'm a fat ass. So I love to eat. I'm always eating something. Like I'm hungry right now, so there's that situation. But yeah, so I specialize in vegan food, and been kind of working on my own thing and doing my own thing to become financially independent, because for about oh not really 4 years, I've lived here for around 5 years, I think. And but I really started towards working for myself with food since like 2012, I think. I scroll down to my page, like through all of my pictures every now and then. The last time I did it, I think it was like 2012 or something like that. So it's been about 7 years, I think, if I did the math right. I don't know. I can't math, so don't ask me to. But yeah, so I've kind of been working on that for about 7 years subconsciously before I moved here. And then I moved here and I went to culinary school. And that's whenever it was like fucking mind blown. I learned a lot in culinary school, more or less about the mentality of it. Kind of my chef instructors. I have really awesome chef instructors. They were really good. Like they were really great chefs, but also kind of mentors. They more or less they didn't sell you like a dream, like, oh yeah, you can be on Food Network and all that other bullshit. Like my first class, my chef instructor, Chef Porter, shout out Chef Porter. She basically was like, hey, look to your left, look to your right, because these people are not going to be here by the time you graduate. And we started off with a class of 22. And I think by the time we graduated, it was like maybe a handful, if not a little less, a little more. But yeah, and the shit is crazy because they kind of let us know what's up, like in the beginning, kind of telling us like, hey, this is not the glamorous shit that you see on TV. It's not Food Network. It's not Hell's Kitchen. It's not all that. Even though Hell's Kitchen doesn't seem like a glamorous thing, having like this old ass English dude, like yell at you and call you a fucking cunt sandwich. Like what? I mean, it's funny to watch because it's hilarious. But I think I wouldn't, my freedom would be tested. My will would be tested at that. But, yeah, so they kind of let us know like, hey, this isn't like the glamorous shit that you see on TV or nothing like that. Like this is the most thankless job, and you're kind of basically the bottom of the barrel, like kind of like the little grunts of the whole industry, even though you are the creator of the food. You create, you make the food and you do all that. And like, I kind of see it as something that is a very humbling job, because no matter what position you're in, whether you're the executive chef or the dishwasher, like kind of everybody intertwines. And the last chef that I had, who like recently left a few months ago, he was one of those chefs he was the executive chef. And like, if we didn't have a dishwasher that night, he was in there washing dishes. If like something needed to be cleaned, he would clean it. So he was a great example to me of what a leader was. He wasn't like a boss. He was a leader. There is a difference. There's a very big difference between a boss and a leader. And he was a great leader. I mean, everybody has their flaws, everybody has their quirks and all that shit. But I feel like he was probably one of the chefs that kind of really set the tone for what I wanted to be as an individual and a person in this industry. So to me, that was very detrimental to my career. But I always had the mindset of I don't want to work for nobody. I grew up with my mom kind of working in like offices, being like secretaries and assistants and all that stuff. And like back in the day, and even especially like for the time and how she grew up and in the era. You hear that shit? No, but in the time and in that era that she grew up with, like that was like the dream job for the women, and that was like the thing. So it was always her like being like, oh, get you a nice desk job, you know, work your way up into the company and the office and the desk and all that and da da da. And I just never, it was never a thing that I was like, oh yeah, I want to sit at a computer all day and fucking type shit that some guy is spitting at me or whatever the hell. Like I never, even if it was a guy or a woman, whatever it was, like I didn't want to work for anybody ever in my life. I've always been like kind of like I'm gonna do it my way. Always been like that hard-headed person that was just like I'm gonna do it my way, and that's just how it's gonna get done. So, needless to say, God damn, my hair is nappy. Needless to say, that kind of didn't work well with a lot of my employers. So I never really lasted in a job very long because of that attitude of I don't I'm not gonna work for you forever. So if you disrespectful to me, I'm gonna get disrespectful right back. Like I don't have to take a shit basically. Because the same way I found this job, I can go out and find another job. And it might be a better job or it might be a worse job. But if you're gonna be disrespectful towards me, then you're gonna get disrespected right back. Like I'm a mirror to you. So if I feel that you're being disrespectful, then I really don't have to take that shit. And I'm not gonna cut you out or nothing, but I'm gonna let you know like you being disrespectful. And a lot of people, it's crazy because it's a lot of people don't like to be told when they're disrespecting somebody. Like if you tell somebody, hey, I feel like you're disrespecting me, like you feel like you're being disrespectful, like could you like chill out, whatever the fuck. Like no matter how there is really no respectful way to tell somebody that you're being disrespectful. I feel like people are gonna find offense to it no matter what. And so like the way that I would handle it, depending on the situation, was like letting them know, like, hey, like could you like, you know, chill the fuck out. But I don't cuss at them, but you know, they're just in my head. That's how I say it. Or I just don't talk to them. I just like especially if I work with somebody, it's really awkward. So like I would just kind of be cordial at work and talk to you about work stuff, and then we don't talk about nothing else. Like that's it. And either way, people just find an issue with that. Like they can't handle the fact that you're not talking to them, or they can't handle the fact that you're not putting up with their shit or whatever the hell it is. And so that always bothered me. I always had an issue. And a lot of the times being a female and having the type of personality that I have, which is a dominant personality. I don't know what to call that, but I have my own, I think for myself, and I'm very sturdy in who I am and what I'm willing and not willing to accept into my energy, my little bubble. And people would have like an issue with that. And there was always somebody telling me that like, hey, you need to be humble and you need to, you know, smile. I hate that shit. Like people tell me to smile. It's like, this is just my face. I'm not gonna do that all the time. Like I'll smile whenever there's a reason to. I don't need to smile 24/7. I don't know what that's gonna do. Is it gonna make you feel more comfortable? Because it makes me feel uncomfortable. And I'm not about making you feel comfortable because life's about me. But yeah, I just went into it like a whole thing. It got real fast, real quick, huh? But yeah, so I've always had that mentality of like I don't want to work for somebody, and having my mom kind of tell me that like, you know, find an office job and all that stuff. And I tried it for like 2 years. It was not great at all. I was very depressed and I was very kind of I was going through a lot of mentally of figuring out what I wanted to do, knowing that this is not what I wanted to do, but still not knowing exactly what I want to do. Like I knew I didn't want to work for somebody, but I was like, how the fuck is that gonna happen if I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I'm good at. I don't know all that stuff. And I was not really given the opportunity to figure that out because I had a son and I was living with my mom, and she was very like, you got to pay bills. And what if you lose your job? Then you're going to lose your life and the world's going to explode and blah. It's going to be like a whole thing. It was very dramatic. And so with all that stress and all that stuff put on me, and then I'd go to work and I'd be like, have to put up with this shit of like not liking my job and then having to deal with the job shit. And I would just come home at the end of the day and I would just cook. Like that's what I would do. That's what would help me like decompress at the end of the day. That and a little bit of whiskey. Um, but I would like cook, and that's what would help me relax. I would like bake or I would cook. And especially because I had my son, I started getting into more organic foods and actual real vegetables, because the vegetables that I grew up on were mostly canned, like, and they would look like caca, like the spinach and the green beans. They were all brown and caca looking, and it was not good. They stank. Like I don't know what the hell was going on with that shit, but it was gross. And once I had my son, I was like, he's not gonna eat the way that I ate. He's gonna eat like so much better. So I started like figuring out how to cook, because my mom was not Betty Crocker. My mom had 3 kids by herself and had always had a job doing something. She was always trying to get more money so that she can afford us to raise us, because we weren't getting any smaller. We were only getting bigger. And so she wasn't the type of woman that was going to sit there and like spend hours in the kitchen, and she didn't have the time to do that. And whenever she was home, she was tired. And so it was a lot of like, season meat, throw it in the oven and call it a day, throw some vegetables in a pot and fucking call it a day, throw some butter, salt and pepper and blah. And I wasn't a big fan of vegetables whenever I was younger. And then I started actually learning how to cook. Thank God for technology, because YouTube and Google, bitch, like that shit, what? And figured out that white meat is juicy. Because I don't know what it is, but like, I don't know if it's like a Mexican thing or what the hell, but like my mom would make sure that everything was cooked well done, if not overdone, like just to be sure that we were not gonna get sick and we were not gonna like fucking get all fucked up and or get the chorro and all that stuff from any food. But yeah, so I learned a lot of things in culinary school that were actually pretty detrimental to my cooking and making me like having me, giving me the opportunity to kind of learn about food. And I was a big nerd in school. Like these glasses are prescription. I need these to see. These are not like a fashion statement, even though the frames are, because they're cute, because I love the 1950s. But I was a big nerd in school. Like I loved science. And to me, that's what cooking is a big science project. And especially vegan cooking, I feel like it's more of a challenge. And I think that's what I like about it. It's very challenging to see what can I do without the protein. You know what I'm saying? And what can I do with just vegetables? And especially now, over the past few years, 4 years, I've gotten into, actually since the beginning too, because I would bake and I was making everything from scratch. So like I'll buy the things whole food, I guess that's what you call it. Like when I make tofu or any milks or whatever, I buy the beans, I buy the nuts whole, and then I turn it into whatever I need it to be for whatever. I turn it into an ingredient that I need to make the food that I make. So I make my own breads, and I make my own little condiments, all of that stuff. It takes a while, but it's that part relaxes me. That process of doing all that and kind of, adding a little bit of this and a little bit of that and kind of doing that, it's the relaxing part to me of cooking, of the whole process. And when it comes out the way I want it to, or even better, then that is kind of the part that is really, and even seeing other people taste my food and be like, holy shit, like this is actually really good. And I'm like, oh, good. Because I'll eat my food and I eat it to critique it. Like I'm my own worst critic. So I'll make something and I'll make it just to taste it, basically, like subconsciously. Like I won't even, I don't purposely try to do that, more or less. But like when I make anything, even if it's something that I throw in a pot and I'm just like, I'm hungry right now, I'm just gonna make it, whatever. Even then, like I'm still like, well, it needs this. I could do this next time, and I could do that next time, and I can. And even while I'm going through the process of cooking it, and I'm still like, oh, next time I could do this, and next time I'm gonna do that, and it's just like a lot of things. So I don't really get to fully enjoy my food because I'm critiquing myself so much. So whenever other people taste it and they actually like it, I think that, oh yeah, it's not perfect, but to them, they're like, oh man, this shit's good. So I'm like, oh yeah, you're lying to me, but thank you. Like, I guess I can't take a compliment, but I mean, I can. Sorry, that's my dirty ass room. I mean, I can, but it's to an extent for me, myself, mentally, as far as how I want it to be and all that stuff. But yeah, so I make all my food from scratch, from start to finish. I'm starting a garden, so I got tomatoes planted, I got some bell peppers planted, I have some basil, and I just planted some broccoli, some red romaine, spring mix, and cilantro. And I'm making a little garden bed, so hopefully, within the next few months, I'll have some stuff. And but yeah, so that's basically who I am. um, I live in Austin, Texas. I don't know if I told you that, if I mentioned that, but yeah, I moved to Austin about 4 or 5 years ago, and it's a very different culture here. I kind of like it because it's a very kind of, everybody minds their own business. Like they ain't nobody trying to really jack you for nothing. Nobody's trying to get over on you for stuff, and there's a lot of people who are doing their own thing here. There's a lot of people who are working for themselves or have different side hustles, and I feel like being around that energy really helps me to kind of keep on track with that. Even if I really don't do nothing but go home and go to work and come home. That's basically all I do. Every now and then I'll go to a bar and I'll listen to some live music, but I even use that as a means to get that energy, to get that creative energy and stuff like that. But I just like being around this energy and kind of being able to walk through my neighborhood at like 12 o'clock at night, which back home, I would never fucking do that in my life. But here I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just walk and it's fine. And, it's cool. So that's pretty cool to know that I can do that, to have that freedom of relief of like, okay, it's not, the world is not this big old scary place. Because back home it was a very different place. But I also grew up in a different time. Sorry, I keep messing with my hair. I did grow up like in the 90s and stuff, and so there was a lot of things going on back then. I mean, there's still shit that happens every day, but I guess now that I'm older and I went through those certain things, that now that as an adult, I'm less scared of shit. Like I'm not as prone to stress and anxiety when it comes to the outside world, because I kind of went through all that whenever I was younger, and I was like, okay, this is the best shit that can happen. I kind of already knew just from walking outside my door, like what all is going on and what can happen and what is happening, and seeing a lot of things that I saw as a child, kind of now that I'm an adult, and I'm like, oh well, yeah, it's not bad. It's not that bad. You know what I'm saying? And but yeah, so that's me in a nutshell or a shell. I don't know. Uh, yeah, so I don't know how often I'll be making these videos. Sometimes I'll be live, and sometimes I guess I'll make a video. I don't know. But I'm gonna try to be on YouTube a little more to kind of get myself out there. Um, I I'm not really that kind of person to make recipe videos and cook with me things and kind of like do those. I mean, I guess I should do those, but I feel like I don't know. We'll see. Because when I cook, I'm very like kind of just chilling and not really doing. I don't know. I'll figure it out. It's the first day. No pressure, right? Yeah. But yeah. So you'll see me again, and whether you want to or not, I'm here. Hi. And yeah, so thanks for watching, I guess. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Have a good night.